Righto, Money Miners. Bloody final week of the year. Sensational. Boys, what a great event on Thursday. Wasn't that a bloody rip snorter?
Had a heap of fun.
Oh,
Hopefully
great.
the performance wasn't too shabby, but
Massive.
Wasn't too shabby. Yeah.
the feedback to my face was okay. But
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
though.
we'll take our own bloody speaker next time so we can. That was bloody. Other than that, it was
Yeah.
bloody good fun. Sorry for there was that many people there and people that didn't get to talk to. I think we divided and conquered, but
Yeah, it was awesome
Didn't get
getting
to have
to-
a full convo with all 300 people. But it was sensational. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for the support. Fucking awesome night.
much appreciated. Yeah,
wicked. Yeah.
Met so many people.
Cheers, Investor Hub, for sponsoring the event.
Yeah, cheers Investor Hub. Bloody
Cod West
chucking-
Brewery for bloody letting us run it there. It was
Great
wicked.
tucker by Golden West and Investor Hub. Think of those beers you were drinking. Investor Hub paid for half the pint. So,
And if the money miners have some feedback before our next event, which we don't have in the pipeline yet, but just let us know what you liked and what you didn't like, and we'll do
Can
more.
make it anonymous if you want.
yeah, no, we do. We know we'll get a big boom box next time for bloody clear, crisp. You got to have crisp audio, don't you, JD?
You sure do, mate.
Bloody good. Right, today, what are we getting into? A bit of
Regis, they're a bit of a funky one.
Regis, the
Yep,
infamous hedge book we won't have to talk about anymore.
exactly. Leo,
End of an era.
it really is. Leo, unfortunately for shareholders, they're not out of suspension just yet, but they got a bit of news. WA1, Winsome Resources, Elevate have got a bit of a. I've got a bit of a funny one on them. First Quantum, some news, as well as a couple comments from Rio Tinto. That's us for today.
And did you say WA1 results?
Yeah, we'll have a couple comments to
Quick
make
one
on their
that.
latest
And
assays.
Some bloody volatile share movement today. That's plenty. Oh, I love chatting about that shit. Bloody right. Now, let's go bloody back to the past. A bit of a year in reflection for us and our OG sponsors. Wasn't it? Bloody, look at this. Look at the first day. What do you notice about this, boys? The first ever sponsorship prezzo. Before we get into it, we have got a partner.
Hey,
We've hit the bloody big time.
a partner.
Mate,
I thought you were married.
Anytime Exploration Services is my new marriage with money of mine. You know one thing I notice?
What's that?
How much chubbier mine and Trav's cheeks are now.
Mate, the moves to West Perth has not done us well with the pub
JD's
too
still
close.
flying the fitness flat. JD actually looks like he's 5 years older now.
Chiseled, mate.
He started shaving. Oh, mate, look at the bloody ears. The Anytime Exploration year in review, mate. They started buying, ever since they come on board with money of mine, they started buying bloody Polarises, off-road vehicles. They've bloody expanded into geological services with Sarah Dyer coming on board in addition to everything else they were bloody doing. And, mate, as we've said before, Seamus Murphy going forward to 2024.
I'm excited.
He's just fucking pumped. Look at that. Just absolutely excited.
Can't
He's
contain
had it.
I'm
himself.
excited.
He just keeps that's just coming up on my computer. I didn't even play that.
And that slide, that's looking a whole lot chunkier there.
Yeah, I know.
So
'cause
much
they've-
more an offer now.
They've got the geological services offering. Bloody,
Yep.
you want a mineral resource estimate? Go hit up bloody Seamus Murphy. And as our OG first ever sponsor, the character, the bloke himself, going out, he was the first ever guy that wanted to help us out and the first one that really bloody pushed it. And, mate, we cannot thank him enough because if it wasn't for Seamus and the next people I'm going to talk about, we might not even be here right now.
Yep.
Because I would have had to have fucking gone back to work for sure. I could tell. You two probably would have kept going, but I would have been bloody absolutely doing anything for money.
So, I don't know.
so
I don't
big
know who's had a
thank you
more
to
exciting year
Seamus.
than Maddie. Is it bloody us or is it Seamus? Ever since he got Sarah Dyer joined the team there.
Just a great
I'm
partnership.
pretty
I think.
sure Money of Mine has done what it is because of Seamus. Like, I just think, I'm putting it down to that.
I'm excited.
Oh, Seamus is excited. Mate, hit him up. Anything bloody exploration, people, mineral resources, soil sampling, off-road vehicles, bloody absolutely anything. Core cutting. Jeez, you got any
Core storage as well,
Core
mate.
storage, you get the core cut, then they'll store the cut core. What a bloody offer. Now the next fellas,
Yeah.
our other OG sponsors. I thought we'd do a bit of a highlight reel of their newspaper articles and like their presence in the media.
I love every time it comes to promoting this this organisation.
Just
the
Google
go-to is
Terra Capital.
Google which news entity is reporting about
Well,
them today.
I thought we'd actually look at what were the best for the year. So if we go through and we can do a rate at the end. Like this was the first one when DK joined Terra Capital, but they end up just putting a picture of Bondi up there. So
Mate, read out the title for the
Odd
podcast
Minute
list.
Mining Whiz joins Bond's Natural Resource Fund. That was
8 out of 10.
And then you got Bondi on Bloomberg here having a yarn. Now that is pretty high level stuff.
6 out of 10.
Then Langers gets his beautiful mug in the AFR talking about his big lithium and copper bets. And
It's an 11 out of 10 profile.
and then we've got another one. Jeremy Bond thinks this uranium deposit is a geological freak.
For the YouTube listeners, that's my favourite photo of Bondi right there.
The bull. But then
Matty,
I think the two things that just take the cake for Terra Capital's involvement in the media this year are right here. Have a look at that. Resource Investor Chat with Matthew Langsford and Rare Earths Masterclass with Dylan Kelly, both featured on the Money of Mine podcast. I reckon that's probably the
Highlight.
But I'd say, look, great news articles, but I'd say, look at these. These are the two highlights for Terra Capital for the year.
If you want to learn what they're all about, go and watch them.
Go watch them too, and then once you finish them, and if you're just looking for something to do, go check the newspaper articles. First port of call will be Money of Mine, thanks. I think next year we've got another DK masterclass coming up.
We should do that, yeah.
I think he's a bit of a guru on the sedimentary lithium deposits. I'm here.
Ooh,
Done
we've
a few
started to
deep
scratch that
dives.
surface.
Yeah, and then obviously the Bondi tell-all is still scheduled in. So on behalf of Money of Mine, we would not be in this office if it wasn't for Terra and Anytime Exploration. Just absolutely kept us alive. Chucking a bit of mayo on top, possibly, but hey, that's what it's all about. Boys, let's bloody get into it. The Regis hedgebook. This was come a bit unexpected, you'd say. We saw Capricorn do something similar a while back, closing out their hedgebook, paying the dosh. They had some put options and stuff attached to it, put contracts as well. But these Regis have coughed up $98 to pay out their 70,000 ounce hedge book. I think they had 63,000 ounces remaining that they closed out.
Yeah, that's right. So they delivered another 7,000. They had 70 at the beginning of the month. Then 63,000 ounces is what they closed off. So it does feel like a bit of a year in review. We've spoken about this one a good few times. We've had the interview we did with Sean Russo going deep on hedging and everything, and Regis was quite a common theme throughout that chat.
Because it was hedged at $1,517 an ounce that
Aussie.
I've got here.
Aussie.
Yeah,
so about
around
half
the spot price.
Exactly. So it was just a liability that just a can that just kept getting kicked down the road, and eventually it just, the sticker price just looked awful, didn't it? So they've made the call to close it out, and we've thrown about a few ideas. So they had $250 million in cash and bullion. They didn't have to borrow anything. They could just close it out. But we were having a bit of a chat earlier about why they might have done this, and we've got a few sort of theories to kick about. You got the obvious one.
Why they've done it now and not earlier.
Exactly. So you've got the obvious one, just be fully exposed to a pretty much record gold price. So that one doesn't need too much explanation. You might have the view that gold is going higher. You'd think if you're running a gold firm, you're kind of a gold bull. You're also, counter to that, not wanting the liability to continue to get bigger and bigger by, just kicking the can down the road continuously. So that might be one reason. It also makes the stock look more attractive, or could make it look more attractive to new investors coming into the space, looking at gold stocks. Hey, look at Regis. They've got no hedging. They're fully exposed to wherever the gold price is.
Bit of a re-rate.
They might get a bit of a re-rate on that sort of idea. They might also have just looked internally, looked at their cash balance and think, hey, there's not an awful lot of good opportunities for us to allocate our capital to. So, like I said, they had $250 prior, and they're thinking, hey, we need to do something with this capital. It's sort of burning a hole in our pocket. There's no great opportunities, no great M&A targets or anything like that. this is how we're going to allocate that capital. And if you want to scratch into some ulterior motives, you could potentially argue that the proportion of ounces that they're going to be producing over the coming periods isn't an awful lot. And that means the amount that has to be delivered in as a percentage of their total production into these hedges isn't great. That doesn't look good. It doesn't, reflect well for cash flows. And then lastly, there might be some sort of M&A on the horizon, and for whatever reason, they just want to clean up the company, and getting rid of this hedge book is one reason, but that's a bit of a half-baked hypothesis.
Well, it could be the M of the M&A. It could be like a merger or some sort that might, getting rid of the hedge book might be that overhang that companies would have been like, oh, geez, I don't like that. Yeah. But can you read into anything with this of what you think they might be doing with McPhillamys? Because now that they're keeping as much capital, much money available for the possible development of that in the future, but now closing out that might mean that mightn't be imminent on the horizon or not?
Not necessarily. I almost think that they've got like a clean slate now to, initiate a project finance facility, which would likely require a decent amount of hedging in and of itself on that project. So
I completely see where you're coming from, and you might think, hey, they're a bit less inclined to develop this, considering they've just given away almost $100 million to close this out. But my view is that they want to develop that. And
I don't know what to talk about with Regis now that they don't have a bloody giant hedge.
M&A.
This is our talking point gone.
The word on the decline for ages was bloody Regis and Gold Road were merging, but that's
gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think I
haven't heard that for a while. So will they be merging with someone else? Maybe. Will they, boys?
Maddie, WA1, they came out with some more assays.
Yeah, three-way ding here. We're all shareholders in this one. So first of their diamond drill hole intersections. So it shows that the mineralisation goes down to, still present at 156 metres, but the intersections are a lot thinner. So 1.4 and 2.8 metres. So they've got, I think it's about 131 assays still pending, still on the way. So they've drilled 233 holes all up, 30 of them are diamond. So 102 reported, 231 still due. So, yeah, interesting price movement today. So it had a bit of a run on Friday, went up about 8%, but then it opened at $10 today. But from that open, it then just absolutely cratered and went down. It was down like to bloody $7.98 at one stage. So it was, very, very interesting. Everyone thought it can be perceived that like this 150 metres over 0.6% is like, oh, the grade's dropping off, yada yada. But it's all, remember the chat with Bogan and Emmanuel Datt, it's all a function of how these carbonatites form. And the way it's been explained to me is that these carbonatites, it's like a big conveyor belt of carbonatites coming up through the bloody fresh rock, and once it hits that oxidation weathered section close to surface, this conveyor belt stops, and then that's where it just displaces all the high grade niobium. It's all present in that high grade weathered section up close to the surface. So these ones down deep are like thin, high grade intersections, but you're not really. It doesn't sound like you're going to find these big, thick, mass high grade things down deep. It's just it's a function of that oxidation profile. So but look, could be profit taking, could be one of the big holders locking in profits at the higher prices. They did have the comment in there about they're suspending activities now until Q1, suspending drilling and restarting in Q1.
It's a bit warm up there.
Yeah, so they might, whether investors are thinking, it's going to be a bit quiet period while they're not drilling, but they've still got 131 assays coming. So, it's just a...
You love the price action stuff.
Love the price. Love it.
It's thinly traded. It's not like a super liquid stock.
Yeah, but it is pretty high volume for today compared to other days. So anyway, it's pretty. They were all bloody hot. Copper was bloody going off when it was $10, and then the comment seemed to get a lot more negative as the price went down. So
Yeah, it's a bit of a short-term view. They've still got $25 of cash, so they're all good on that front. As you just sort of said there, the mineralization style is something that sort of, forms close to the surface, and I think most of the substantial shareholders aren't looking for something that plunges down or anything like that.
I don't think they're worried about 150 metre deep thin veins at the moment.
Did you guys see Emmanuel Dat go substantial on Friday?
I did. I think 5.04 or 5.03% of the company now held by Dat.
Daddy. He's on a beach in Thailand, he told me today when I asked him if he'd contribute to our future segment. He's wrapped up.
God, if this goes off, he's going to have bloody own the beach, I reckon. Righto, next up, JD, Winsome Resources.
Winsome. So this is one we have not spoken about in the past. They've come out with their maiden mineral resource. So 59 million tonnes at 1.12% lithium from the Adina lithium project in the James Bay region of Canada. So the resource that they've come out with is based off of a bit over 27 kilometres of drilling that they've done. And like I said, it focuses on Adina. It doesn't take into account the other sort of spod pegmatite mineralisation that happened to the east and west of what they've laid out here. So the resource consists of two adjacent pegmatite dikes, what they call the sort of main zone and the footwall zone. Each, from a tonnes perspective, chips in roughly 29 million tonnes. The mining method they've sort of wrapped around this, obviously it's just a resource, but they're talking about a potential of development in one large open pit mining operation. So still got 5 rigs churning away. They've got 25 kilometres of drilling assays pending. So that'll come in the next few months, and they're expecting to deliver a resource update in the first half of next year already, and they want to publish their first study in the second half of next year. So if you look at the share price, it's barely moved today. It's come off over the past, few months of the past year from a bit over $2 to now about $1. So you've got the trend that you often see in discovery of the excitement discovery, kind of like that first wave up on the Lassonde curve, and then you sort of get to that resource, you get hit with a bit more realism, you get some numbers actually wrapped around the thing, and then you start to look development in the eye and realise it's a long time to come. Granted, I do still see that a lot of the assays need to come into the resource, so there could be substantial tonnes added to the resource in the coming few periods.
And then North American lithium's just the flavours are the lithium price coming off significantly, plus the North American flavour seems to have died off a bit, so they've had obviously that against them as well.
100%. You've got spod now trading. Last time I looked at 1,100. You've got James Bay just not having a great reputation for development. Yeah. And then the bigger peers in the area.
And the M&A was all, the M&A activity was all in Western Australia. So I just think by virtue of their M&A concentration, like the interest in North America waned.
Absolutely. So just to round out on Winsome, they've still got 70 million cash. They're trading at about 200 million market cap. So obviously 5 rigs isn't a cheap exercise, but they should be fine for quite a while to come yet.
Oh, right. And what's going on in the happening in the sin bin with Leo Lithium? Still in the bin, yet to come back on the field yet?
It has been news light for the last couple months. So they've announced that they've come up with first funds from Ganfeng. So they came out with this agreement, I think September 14th from memory was the date. They had this equity investment agreement with Ganfeng, who's obviously the JV partner at Goulamina. So Ganfeng will sole fund the next US $137 million in capital costs, so half of that being, or a bit less than half given the percentage ownerships being Leo's stake in that. That was all previously announced. In return, Ganfeng's stake increased in the joint venture to 55% compared with Leo's 45%. That's sort of pre the government's free carried interest being taken into account. Leo's been in suspension for almost 3 months now. And you guys will remember that before that, they were only out of suspension for roughly a week or so, and they were in suspension again for 6 odd weeks before that. So it's been a tough old ride for Leo shareholders. And, if you sort of look around and try and, put it into perspective, Firefinch, obviously very newslight as well. Not much has happened on that front. So shareholders are just sort of hanging out now, waiting for updates that are coming in pretty thin at the moment.
So long and the short of we're waiting to see what the Mali government wants to do.
Yeah, that's right. It's been very info light. We don't know what's going on, so we'll just have to wait and see for them to come back out of suspension, those shares to start trading again.
TMT and AVL in trading holds. We're going to rip into that tomorrow, aren't we? See what the bloody hell's going on
hopefully
there.
There's some news tomorrow, but I think
Merger update.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I suspect it's just they're in a trading halt. There's a period of negotiation now between, the dealing parties and the revolting shareholder group would be my best guess. And, I'm sure everyone who's trying to get a deal done would be aiming to, release a revised deal that has the support of the rejecting shareholders. So it has a greater probability of passing if there's a vote. But again, I wouldn't be holding my breath either because sometimes revolting shareholders can have high expectations that are tricky to meet. So
is that
TBA.
Just to rehash on what your great session you did the other day, Trav? Full compliments to the chef there, mate. They're 17% worth of TMT, the revolting shareholders.
Yes, correct. Yep, 70%. Yeah,
that's possibly enough to block the scheme.
Yeah, based on I think based on voter turnout. That is
probably
enough, yeah.
Probably going to block it. Yeah, right. We'll go into that tomorrow. Tomorrow also got we're getting into oil and gas tomorrow.
We are.
We've got a bit of a guru that's coming. Going to talk about the Santos Woodside potential merger.
Big end of town.
And a bit on the bloody lay of the land of oil and gas, which we are not experts on, but we are now. Based on listening.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'm a bloody expert.
You fucking knew a lot more than me. Right, JD, EL8. Bloody, uranium.
Gents,
What's going on here?
Did you guys see this one late last week?
I saw the term sheet coming up for it, yeah.
So it's nothing flash. We don't normally make a comment on a capital raise, but there were a couple of details that stood out, so I thought I'd give them a special mention. So uranium is hot lately, right? And when stocks and, commodities are running hot, you can usually get away with capital raisings on more favourable terms, but that wasn't the case with Elevate, with the ticker EL8. So they did an offering at a roughly 15% discount on a 5-day VWAP. They also had to attach an option in there as well, exercisable at 60 cents. Now they last closed at 51.5 cents. So it's not a massive leg up you have to get for that OPI to be in play. They also had to pay out a 6% raising fee, went to the joint lead managers, and those joint lead managers got 3 million options as well. So I just thought I'd give them a special mention for the...
I think, what are they, about 48 today, I think?
Yeah, give or take. I think 45 when I last looked.
And to clarify, JD, the reason this is interesting is because you think uranium's hot, you can raise at a tight discount, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is this is still incredibly expensive raise that they've had to endure.
Exactly. An expensive raise. I don't know if the company could have pushed for better terms themselves, so maybe this was all that was up on offer for a company with their projects and the like. But they're not a tiny company. I think they're capped at $120 odd million. So.
Raising at this time of year it gets trickier and trickier as well because funds are less likely. Well, instos they have less appetite because liquidity just dries up. This is the last week of the year right now that you could possibly at all execute a capital raise. So
absolutely,
we'll see how many more.
So they had $7 million prior. They raised 10. Maybe they didn't want to get to the point where by January they have to sort of show their accounts again, show that they've got quite a small cash balance. Maybe that's why they were a bit rushed to do it in late last week, and hence the terms weren't so favourable. But
because that 6% is usually 5 or 4, hey?
6 is
at
the high end, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But when you throw in the OPIs, the big discount and all the works, attaching up the broker options, for the hottest commodity at the moment, it's bloody
I mean, look at Boss. They obviously a much bigger name in the sector, but what did they do at discount of 5%? I think less than 5%. So goes to show.
Jada, your little pet project you got going on here. First Quantum's Cobre, Panama.
Yeah, I can't stop talking about this one, but I find it just incredible. So the government of Panama has now told First Quantum to shut down the mine. So earlier in the week, the Supreme Court ruled that the concession they'd been given, the 2-decade concession, was unconstitutional. So unfortunately, First Quantum has now had to lay off 4,000 workers. Last month, they'd had to suspend 7,000 workers. And it's just sort of fascinating to put this into context. This mine single-handedly accounted for 5% of Panama's GDP. So, you know, that the GDP growth is going to have a bit of a markdown with this mine going offline. The country itself might even lose sort of investment grade status, and attracting foreign investment as a country will be a lot harder going forward.
How much copper do they produce globally? What's the global percentage?
So they had produced 350,000 tonnes. They were looking to produce about 400,000 tonnes in the coming year. That is roughly 1.5% of the global copper supply. So an enormous amount for a single mine to produce. First Quantum had spent US $10 billion building Cobre Panama. So it's just an astounding amount. And as a quick reminder, the uprising was over them being given the concession to mine for another 2 decades. That concession had come with the terms that First Quantum would pay US $375 million per annum to the government of Panama, as well as a profit-based royalty of between 12 to 16%, which is a
bloody high.
Yeah, it's a pretty high royalty payment to be made. So First Quantum, as you'd expect, they're looking around their portfolio of assets and they're looking, where can we, you know, put any money we might have, where can we grow and expand and give investors something positive to look at. So they're going to put the foot down on some growth projects. They've got 2 operations in Zambia and they're going to put some more money into there. They've indicated on the Cobre Panama side of things that they don't want to go to arbitration. Panama has an election coming up next year, so we could still see that they come to an agreement that the government gets a big stake in the mine and the terms are revised again. So I don't think all hope is lost at Cobre Panama, but it's a very tense political and social situation there, which is a bit out of our area of expertise.
Oh, God.
Out of our expertise, not yours, mate.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. If you look at
you do copper, Trav, you're oil and gas.
If you look at looking at stocks, which is our area of expertise, First Quantum stock has lost 2/3 of its value in about 6 or 7 weeks. So
Jesus Christ,
we're talking
14 billion Canadian.
Yeah, wiped away.
Yeah.
So just pretty jaw-dropping sums.
Buddy, before we get into the next bit, Rio's comments on lithium, mate. The merch is live, boys. Buddy, follow the shirts, merch. The merch is shirts. Buddy, follow the links in the show notes. Buddy, go grab a shirt for Christmas.
That's it. Look at the beautiful model demonstrating all the shirts.
Oh, well, I didn't suck me gut in enough for me belly button showing, but
I think you looked great, mate.
Thanks, mate. Go grab a bloody Money of Mine shirt if you want a bloody good Christmas present.
Yeah.
Nothing better than a good barbie out the back, drinking piss in a Money of Mine shirt over the Christmas break. Now that is living, Barry.
Get your kids one, get your grandparents one,
just
your parents.
Get one for your kids when they grow up if you haven't got the size for them. Bloody great, hot property. Mate, what's going on? Rio's comments on lithium, JD. Geez, this will be bloody riveting, I reckon.
Mate, a couple comments to close us off. So Jacob Stolzem, the CEO of Rio, has made a few comments on lithium. So it might interest a couple of punters out there in some smaller lithium stocks. So they've taken the view that lithium companies are still very, very expensive. They've stressed again that they do want to build a lithium business. The trick is to build it cheaply and as competitively as possible. So not rocket science there.
I didn't know Rio liked doing that.
Fuck,
it's a bit out of their DNA.
Imagine how many meetings they would have had to come to that thesis in a big organisation.
Exactly. So
and the catering for them too, like all the food they have to provide for the meeting. Oh yeah, that's an expensive bloody term, that one.
You're on the money there, mate. Obviously, it's sort of negotiating 101 to talk down people you want to have a swing at. But there's a couple comments there that punters out there can get themselves excited and think Rio might take them out. So they were my thoughts on what Mr. Salzam had to say.
Oh, I love your bloody work. Righto. Bloody stay tuned for a bit of oil and gas spectacular tomorrow. Jesus, bloody riveting stuff. I loved it.
I thought it was a great chat. You don't have to be mega up the curve on oil and gas. It was pretty we covered, domestic gas policy, all these sorts of things.
East versus West Coast, bloody good stuff. Righto, thanks to all our bloody great, the true friends of the show. Terra Capital and Anytime Exploration at the start of the show. Also got a bloody Investor Hub. If you want to take a look at Investor Hub, got Rory's email in the show notes. Bloody get in touch. We bloody love that product. Shaking up the investor relations industry. Mate, DSI Underground, we've got McMahon Mining Title Services, Future Proof Consulting, KCA Site Services, Brooks Airways, and the bloody rock crushing experts at K-Drill.
Hootaroo.
Hootaroo, money miners.
The information contained in this episode of Money of Mine is of general nature only and does not take into account the objectives, financial situation or needs of any particular person. Before making any investment decision, you should consult with your financial advisor and consider how appropriate the advice is to your objectives, financial situation and needs.